I'm Gregory Olson, the SOAN Strategic Early Warning Network, and today we're continuing another in our manufacturing series of videos, and this one is about advanced manufacturing technology road mapping, which is a mouthful about how to look at the technology that you have in your business and develop a strategy or process to get to the advanced technology that you want to have in your future. Today, I'm going to be talking with Vinitha Moskal, who has her own little business, Smart Cost Inc., and is a SOAN consultant. And she and I together did a pilot program around technology road mapping for small manufacturers in the Southeast region in 2019. And the reason for our initiative at that time was to find out, we had a lot of manufacturers who wanted to get involved in advanced manufacturing technology, but did not have a comfort level on what it was or even how to use it. And so we talked to them about being a model for developing a technology road mapping strategy and for helping us create a model that we could use for other small businesses in the Southeast region and in the state of Pennsylvania. So Vinitha, welcome. Nice to have you today.
Pleasure to be here, Greg.
Okay. And let's talk about, first of all, talking about what actually is advanced technology road mapping and how would we explain that to some of the small business owners who will be tuning in.
So it's more of an industry 4.0 roadmap is kind of what we were going through. So technology roadmap is like we are currently in an industry 4.0 revolution. So a lot of companies are looking to see how to upgrade their technology to be on par of reaching the I4O strategy. So what does this mean? Is to create a connected factory. And advanced manufacturing is part of building that connected factory, a process to connect your manufacturing with your business processes. So that is what we set out to do.
So Vinitha, in your situation, you have been in supply chain management and have been the leader of supply chains for some very large organizations. And at times you have been able to leverage the power of the supply chain to dramatically grow the business through introduction of advanced technology in those organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So advanced technologies are quite a few capabilities, right? So there is nanotechnology, there is additive manufacturing, robotics, so there's quite a few technologies. So within the supply chain, in the oil and gas industry that I came from, or even in the auto industry that I previously worked for, we have what's called a connected strategy. And what does this entail is the ability for us to work across the value stream. And with the onset of Industry 4.0, we were able to leverage technologies such as the transportation management systems, even the sensor technologies that's up and downstream within our value stream to build a connected strategy. So what does this mean is we were able to predict demand. We were able to turn on the operations to manage what the demand request was. And when we fulfill the demand, we were able to invoice the customer at the same time. So that is the power of an integrated, connected digital strategy.
Okay. So when we talk to a company about road mapping and we try to link together their supply chain and how that works, and we link together that with the technology, the focus is on that individual business and where they're at and how they look at it. And so the kind of build the foundation first. So
correct.
We'll move forward with that. While we were going on the manufacturing 4.0 journey with the companies we work with, there were some things that came out that were really exposed. And one of them is that people are at very different points in their manufacturing journey. And I've highlighted some things here about Industry 3.0 and 4.0 and factories of the future, et cetera. So, Vinitha, I would ask you to kind of comment on what we see and how companies are in these pursuits.
So the interesting thing that we noticed from some of the small companies where truly their digital transformation or the industry 3.0, where they're going into automation, they're going into leveraging the ERP systems, those basic, the fundamentals were not there. So we had to step back from building an I4O strategy, which is more of a connected digital strategy, to more of just a digital transformation of just taking them through the I3O strategy. So talking about factory of the future, where it is a machine-to-machine communication, where your data and cyber physical systems becomes very crucial, that level of strategy was not in place because they were just trying to get smart machines, maybe, or improve operations by adding maybe a collaborative robot. So we had to step back and look at where each of the manufacturer was in their journey to getting to this I4O. So, you know, the roadmap that Greg, you and I did was to help them sort of leverage certain technologies now to help them just be an operational excellence with I3O, and give them a roadmap on how to be connected and working towards the I4O connected strategy, which is all about the cyber physical systems, data analytics, and IoT systems from which you can actually pull information and data. Only when you get to the factory of the future strategy can you really start thinking of smart manufacturing, because you're starting to talk about smart component level manufacturing all the way to building into a systems level, which is then connected across your enterprise. So that is a part of a long-term strategy that we put in. So we started putting a short term, which is just a digital transformation. How do you get yourself into more of the, leveraging the technologies that's out there with a 3D printing, maybe with advanced manufacturing, collaborative robots, and while building up your ERP systems, your data collection systems, and then giving them a longer term value-driven forecast, a roadmap, which really shows them how to get to an integrated, connected I4O strategy.
Good. Good. When we talk about a technology roadmap, and as you just outlined for them, is some of the things we run up against, the significance of what technology is for the owners versus what's going on the marketplace. And I think that we found out that a significant level of education had to take place in order to get on the same page, if you will, in building the roadmap. So if you could talk a little bit about how the things that are there in the high level road mapping, how you kind of bring them down when you're talking to a business owner about what a roadmap looks like for them.
So every company should have a roadmap, a strategy roadmap, a business roadmap, and based on that, you will then build out your technology roadmap, which is more of your digital transformation roadmap. And what we tried to do with a lot of companies that wasn't aware of this, they didn't have a strategy roadmap or a business roadmap long-term, we try to first say, like, what is the value? Where do you want to be? Where's the market taking you? What's your customers see in you? The value that you can provide. And then we started building out a technology roadmap. And in the technology roadmap, what we started looking for is just not operational technology, but we started looking at a data-driven technology, because I4O is all about data and AI and M2M. And then we started looking at your infrastructure, like what do you need to have to get there? And along the way is change management, like what has to happen each phase of your transformation. So leading towards the end vision of where you want to go. Now, again, within Industry 4.0, we realized that there is no end goal. You just continue to grow, but you want to do an initial pilot. We say, like, here's what you see that you can do short term. Here's where you want to go medium term. And here's where you look at from a long term, from systems, processes, your offering, your product offering, leadership, and change management.
You can point out a couple of things on here. One of them was the additive manufacturing. And some of the clients that we worked with had an impression of what additive manufacturing was, but they didn't necessarily have a good understanding of how it related to the whole I 4.0. So can you highlight some of the comments that we made with some of these manufacturers around what additive manufacturing meant in this perspective?
So a lot of people for additive manufacturing that we met was looking at it more from an operations. Hey, I can 3D print something and I can 3D print for prototype, or I just have a 3D printer. What we were trying to communicate to them is in a connected environment of I4O, that drawing or whatever that additive manufacturing is the visibility that the customer has to what you can print. It's mass customization that has to happen. It's the ability to customize with your 3D printing or additive manufacturing. But also what we were trying to highlight to a lot of companies is because of additive manufacturing being a technology out there, there are going to be solutions and opportunities that is needed, such as finishing. So there is an opportunity from a business standpoint and from a connected strategy standpoint is how do you connect your business, give visibility of what you can do with your 3D, 3D machines all the way across your value chain, the visibility, the iterative design process that happens with the 3D manufacturing, and then it is the outside processes that has to happen. That's a business opportunity that comes out of additive manufacturing.
Good. Another one was the cloud, and I think the impression of the organization was they all were using the cloud and doing things on the cloud, but they didn't have a good perspective on how the cloud works with I 4.0.
So, cloud is just a different storage solutions for your systems. It's a better, it's managed across different systems that you have. You may have your ERP systems, but you're correct. A lot of companies thought they had cloud storage. They had it's a Google storage or something like that. But the architecture and the infrastructure that needs to be set up to manage items through cloud, like what data needs to be shared, what data, where is the up and downstream between IT and OT, and which is going to be a cloud, which is what's going to be on edge, understanding cybersecurity. Those were things that we did see some weakness with companies, but that is where in an Industry 4.0, visibility to data, real-time access to data, decentralization of machines, but at the same time having a vertical and horizontal connection. It's that decision-making, is that time, what kind of data dwells where is so crucial. So taking advantage of the cloud as well as edge computing and your other service systems, and the marriage of IT, OT is very crucial.
And many times in our journey with the manufacturers on the technology roadmap, there were some critical points that we had to kind of work with them to do. The first one was extremely challenging from the standpoint of building a baseline, particularly as they talked about their process, their capabilities, and their existing technology. And so, Vinitha, if you could kind of talk to, first of all, that whole baseline building concept.
We were trying to understand, I think one of the things is people, that the companies that we were interacting and the people that we were working with these companies did not always have a very clear idea of all the processes, the interconnectivity of all the processes, the capabilities of their existing technologies, be it an ERP system or a laser or a machine that they have, how interconnected that they can be with their ERP systems, and also understanding the off-the-shelf commercial technology that can be applied for some of their simple solutions, such as notifying them when there should be a changeover. They didn't have to come in on the weekend to check to see if something has been done, but there were simple solutions to be there. So that was pretty challenging to help people understand what it is that was considered as a process baseline. But I think once we were able to explain to them what Industry 4.0 was and how all the systems and the machines actually can interconnect, we were able to start building that baseline pretty quickly.
One of the other parts of building the foundation that came out loud and clear was the whole idea of having an expert or a mentor be able to talk to them about benchmarking and talk to them about the outside world, what's going on in their marketplace and their competitors, et cetera. So can you talk a little bit about that whole concept, Vinitha?
Sure. I think what was interesting is when we started asking the question is, who is your customer? What does your customer demand look like? How do you communicate with your customer? What is your market? Where's your market going? People were most of the companies that we were interacting with were so focused on their own business because it was they was keeping up with the market demands, growing in 2019. A lot of manufacturers were significantly growing. They were seeing a lot of insourcing. They were so focused on their internal operations that they really did not know how to look out and how to do the research on understanding where the market was moving, where the customers were moving, or where the competitors were. But Greg, then you and the Zone did an awesome job in bringing all that together for them to give them the visibility from which we were able to then build out the roadmap pretty quickly.
Great. I think when we were talking with the companies, and we did a lot of work around the foundation and getting a sense to where it was going to go. It was very important to do the brainstorming part of this process because there was a lot of education involved, a lot of interaction around what was possible, and to help the organization feel that they could in fact do things that they didn't even feel were possible. So you talk about a little bit about the brainstorming and the processes that we helped them build.
Yeah, I think the fun part of the road mapping was those aha moments. And it was, some of them were just right in front of them, like automating invoices or automating their business process with an ERP system. Able to just leverage the customer technology and the customer, pushing them in a certain way, especially if they're working with defense projects. The brainstorming is a crucial piece of activity because you want to understand not only the processes that you can leverage, but really getting your team to start thinking of what is possible, because I4O is all about reimagining how things can happen. And so that was an interesting process for us. And in the brainstorming sessions, Greg, like some of the conversations we came out of was, wow, that was a simple solution. Or to the point of, yeah, I use that technology at home, but I don't know how to translate that to work. But then once we got over that and we said, like, how can you do that here? We started building that roadmap.
I think it was important too, and I talk about the role of customers in here, was that you brought out some really good examples of how the customer can help you with that message to your workforce, or help you imagine what things could look like.
Correct. So especially if you're working with the defense manufacturing companies, the defense industry, that market is moving forward. So they're already in a digital journey. So they may tell you, hey, if you can give me visibility into your assembly line, for instance, or can you please add an RFID tag so I'll know where my part is at any given time? Or how do you make your process or your product smarter? The customer's already on that journey, especially if you're working with some of the large customers. So it's easy. So if you don't have your own digital transformation strategy, is to pull in and see where your customer is pulling you and actually understanding why they're asking certain information, why they want the security levels to be a certain level, why they want certain taggings to be in place or smart numbers to be in place. Just asking those questions of why will actually could help you reverse engineer to a certain point of what that your strategy on the technology roadmap needs to look like to keep your current customer up to speed so they don't go looking for someone else who can do the work.
Great. One of the things that was encouraging was that when you talked to them particularly about a technology map, that there was effort to get that implemented and to do the use the employees to kind of build that test model or to give it a go and see how it would work.
Yep. So every project that you do, that I highly recommend doing a pilot project. And the reason you do a pilot project is for a couple of things. One is you build the enthusiasm, you build the brainstorming, you can show your team and yourself what you can achieve in a connected area. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is you need, in a technology driven environment, just like most of the other subjects, you want to, fail fast, fail quickly, because you need to understand what you can and cannot do with what bandwidth you have, what people you have, what resources you have, what capabilities you have. So having those pilot tests, having that rapidly done actually is critical in the success of your digital journey.
You did a good job of explaining from your own experience how it was used in organizations that you worked in and how you got people involved and they created the teams and the task force and all that kind of thing. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Sure. One of the things that I've always done, and I've been involved. Smart cards has been around since 2009. I've been involved in the I4O since the very early starts of the concept of Industry 4.0. One of the things that we always try to do in a leadership team is to bring cross-functional people. You don't always bring people who are so-called subject matter experts of that particular area. Because what's fun about reimagining your business is getting ideas from people who are creative, imaginative, analytical, and who are a subject matter expert of that particular operations. So walking in the shoe of somebody, bringing in marketing in manufacturing, bringing in engineering in marketing or sales, trying to bring that cohesive team together and having an idea of what is it you're trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve a connected ecosystem, an enterprise level ecosystem, and trying to help them understand that we are moving towards our business as a platform. That cross-functional team and their insights is extremely valuable.
Great. I think when we talked about road mapping and you did a great job with many of the manufacturers talking about how to make the roadmap and the strategy, the business strategy, come together and how they become integrated.
Yep. So one of the things that we have noticed significantly, and this is even when I was in the corporate world or as a management consulting company recently, is companies tend, if you don't have a business strategy, your digital transformation and having new technologies and new tools means nothing. It truly is a business transformation. It's a business strategy, without which what you can end up doing is becoming what's called in the 4 quadrant of technology is a fashionista. You may be coming up with a lot of different things in your company, a lot of technologies. They're not going to be connected. They're going to have short-term wins that's not going to be sustainable. We were really trying to get everyone to move towards becoming digital masters. And what that means is to not only have a long-term vision for your company in the current state, but also to start offering new capabilities and new revenue stream with this new transformation. So building that together was is extremely crucial for any company.
I think one of the things that we experienced was the idea that when we talked to them about the strategy and road mapping, the frustration level in the organization happens quickly. And I think that it's extremely important to have someone such as yourself available to kind of talk them off the ledge, if you will, when they go to do something. Because when you make an investment in something like this, it's extremely important to have somebody be able to tell you that you're going to be okay and you're going to do this because you are changing the direction of the organization. So from your experience, can you talk about that a little bit, about how that's happened?
Sure, and that goes back to the rapid prototyping. Do it quick, fail fast, but just keep moving. It is a change management. So advanced manufacturing or your digital strategy, it is all about managing change. What you will find out during this process is, where are your people in the change? Are they threatened? Are they able to grasp the change? You'll also notice like the workforce skill gaps that you're going to have. And then your business processes, because when you're doing your initial rapid prototype, what you will identify is all your gaps that you need to fill with either experts who come in or with your own workforce and your own strategy, your process development, your technology, your infrastructure. So it's easy for the team, if you have the same team who has done things the same way for a long time, and if you're trying to move them to start looking at data analytics or building IoT systems, or building a roadmap with short-term wins of connected strategy. Hey, your customer should have visibility into your capabilities in-house, for instance. Or how do you build two functional groups? Like marketing has to have visibility into what you can produce. The same way around, then you start seeing all these stress levels come in. And you're absolutely right, Greg, like having someone in there who can actually help the team understand where you're going, because the leadership should have been brought off by, they should have, it's their vision that we're trying to execute. So the execution time there, it's a crucial time for both the leaders and the teams, because that's where you understand who can run and what the gaps are, and you want to fail fast so you can move faster.
Excellent. When we talked about integrating things into business, and it takes a long time. It looks daunting to do this. It looks extremely costly sometimes, and it presents some real barriers. And we found that it was extremely important to talk to businesses about some of these barriers that are going to come up, and exactly how to think about them and to approach them.
Yeah, one of the learnings for me when we were going through this process with small businesses was things were thought of in a very silo environment. Sales did their stuff, accounting did their stuff, manufacturing did their stuff, procurement did their stuff. It's very siloed. And in an I4O environment, that is the barriers that's being broken. You make data-driven decisions in a decentralized way, but really it's a strategy of a connected enterprise. So it can be daunting, especially with companies who we hear who say, hey, I don't believe in that ERP data, or I don't believe my inventory is accurate until I see something, or this machine uptime or downtime is not there, so I don't want to share that with my customer. Cleaning up, the effort of cleaning up your data, the effort of getting used to understanding and working with your data, those are daunting. Those can be daunting to the team, but that is the baseline from which you start moving forward. Now, sorry.
I know I think you did a great job of explaining to people from examples of your history of how things can be overcome and how you can look at it. And I think it's from your standpoint, and we talk about terms, I 4.0, big data, and those kind of things. And I think that it's extremely important to have someone such as yourself be able to sit with somebody and say, those are terms. in real life, this is how they look, and this is how you can integrate them into your business without having them become larger than life.
Correct. I totally agree. So a lot of what we are seeing right now too, the flip side to that is having your leadership team, especially a leadership team, truly understanding what an industry 4.0 is and the benefits it offers to the company, and therefore making it less intimidating to the people who are executing it because you have a clear strategy. The flip side of not understanding a clear what an I4O is, we are seeing a lot of businesses becoming what we would call digital fashionistas who are investing in maybe robotics. You're investing in 3D printers, which you're investing in collaborative robots, but you're investing in things that can, if it's not built into your connected strategy of how it talks to your ERP system, how decisions can be made from one point to another, from machine to machine communication, you will be stuck, you could be stuck with a very expensive paperweight.
I think that you talk very well around return on investment. ROIs are in technology very difficult to come up with on your own. And this is the value of having someone such as yourself be able to kind of translate the languages and the numbers so that you get an idea of the benefit out of it and that you can focus on getting a payback and not getting recognition for being high tech. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I think there is a one portion of it is absolutely, I've seen companies, Greg, where they would go in and invest in automation, for instance, or even like robotics right now, right? Which is great. You need to, because you need that efficiency, your operational efficiency. And some of them call it the digital transformation. They call it the I4O strategy. And my point to them is be cautious with that, because I4O is a very connected strategy. It is integrated with business. It's integrated with your customers. It's integrated with your suppliers. That is the strategy. So if you don't know where you are fitting in, that is just being an I3O, right? It's still digital transformation. Industrial Revolution 3.0 is all about automation. So it's okay to say, hey, I'm just going to do this little automation project, and that's okay. But the true value, the true ROI, the true business return for the long term is if you understand how that is going to be integrated across the enterprise.
Vinitha, and this, and kind of talk about a little bit some recommendation that you would have to the business owners, because the technology road mapping is a simple and yet very sophisticated process that can help clarify what it looks like for you in the future, and also things that you can get involved in that have a return on investment, for example, and some things that you could really get sidetracked on if you invest time and energy with no payback.
So, once you know how your connected strategy, where you want to go long-term, now you need to start building your short-term initiatives and short-term goals. So what are you going to start seeing? Like I always tell some of the private equity or the venture capital companies who I work with closely, we look at quick returns. So where can you do robotic business automation? So if you bring in business processes that can integrate between your own functional groups, finance with manufacturing, within different groups within manufacturing, how can you connect them together? So those are going to be your short-term wins, and that's going to be significant. So for instance, you bring in a collaborative robot, for instance, and that can pick and pack for it, or you have a warehouse solution that can be eventually integrated or is integrated part of your ERP system. You can start getting your reorder points really quickly. So those are very quick in return on your investment. Usually it's between 18 months to 24 or less. But unless you understand the true value of where you're going to, it's very hard to quantify for companies. So just like you said, Greg, I think don't get caught up but at the same time, understand where you're going. If not, you're going to end up with a lot of toys. And it can become a misfit, an operation of misfit toys.
Vinitha, thank you very much for your time today. A very insightful look at what technology road mapping is and how it relates to the I 4.0 journey and how it relates to a business, because most of our small business manufacturing people would love to be involved in it. And they also are very uncomfortable about exactly the magnitude of it and where it fits. So appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.